One, we are back. We're back from our break and we're ready to rock. When we last left the group of intrepid adventurers, they were being led out of the stanky sewers by a druid taking the form of a very powerful-looking constrictor snake. And the druid named Elidi is just winding her way through the sewers, taking this route and that route, and leading you guys to a much safer, not quarantined section of the city. And when you guys pop out, you're still on the western side, but, you know, you're on this main thoroughfare. You know, at this point, it's like easily like 2 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning or something like that. So, yeah, you guys are tired, but you still have your faculties about you, and you got to figure out what the hell you're going to do.
Well, if it's this early in the morning, presumably the 10 bells appointment with Mr. Buffo is... Would we expect that to be like 10 in the morning sort of time? Or 10 in the following evening?
Yeah, he said that it was 10 at night.
Okay.
Like right before the other one. Yeah, he said that last time.
Okay, so in that case then, we've pretty much got like go to sleep and then a whole day.
Correct.
Before that and the potential Fey Lounge appointment that we learned from the child labourer that we encountered pulling the boat.
Hey, he was almost 17, he told you guys. He's damn near a man. Actually, pretty much a man. So,
I'm just saying that I'm pretty sure that he's being exploited.
Is it our intention to meet with both of these men, these criminal organizations?
I want to meet with Poopy.
I'd certainly like to know a bit more about what's happening in Twin Harbors. While I've contented myself over these last few months, just idly moving from contract to contract and working my way through poverty and into a self-sustaining lifestyle, I have often wondered what it is that I am buying into, so to speak. I'd like to know more about the land in which I inhabit.
Yes. Well, I would like to know more about this. Gesturing to the body that I'm carrying that is oozing blue pus down my jacket.
Would you like some help carrying that quickly to your abode, or wherever it is you want to take it? Possibly taking some routes that the guards are less likely to wander through?
Yes, we probably should do that.
Well, that's no bother. I'm sure we'll be able to get there swiftly with the two of us carrying it. Alton, you're perfectly welcome to accompany us, although I imagine that we'd be lifting it above your head height.
You're absolutely right. I don't. I can. I want to continue this conversation, but I have no intention of lifting that body. My little frame is not going to do that well, and I have many great qualities. My strength has never been one to clamor over.
Sorry, there's a side conversation happening, so I can create some world information once I have got the GM go-to, I guess.
Oh, I see it now. I see
Yeah.
it now. Yeah. You know of one of those.
Okay. I would like it to take it to this place that I know, not my own home. God knows this is too much mess for that place. But there are some people there that I trust will be discreet.
Mm-hmm.
Are we taking it to an apothecary?
In a manner of speaking. I do
I
not
think that is a
know.
very wise idea, Eridu. Very, very wise.
Yes. Well, there are these places in the city where one can find a way to connect with the Feywild. We're going to go to one of them.
Oh, fantastic! I was hoping at some point to do some research into finding one of these ley lines some strange homeless person told me about. I'm sure they're real, but
Oh,
yes, let's go.
you will learn some things today.
All right.
So we make our way through the streets to an establishment called the Razor Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
It's headed up by a very, very old elf. I don't have a name for him. The reason for that is because I am very particular about how I name my high elves, and I haven't given it thought.
Okay. Well, he can have just some sort of title for now.
That's a good idea. Something very we will call him the Magus or Magus.
Megas.
That one.
The Megas. Cool.
And yeah, so we'll head over there and take it from there, Kyle, because you are actually giving the descriptions. I just needed to make that up.
For sure. All right. So as you enter the Razor Leaf, it is in this part of town that is, there's the wall, the big wall that separates Twin Harbor from and this is on the western side. You guys didn't have to cross over the bridges or anything like that. There's the wall that's closest to the wilderness outside of that, and then there's these very cramped little neighborhoods with these snaking alleyways, and all the buildings are very built closely to each other. And it's still the dead of night. You guys are crawling through Twin Harbor, taking these back alleys, and as soon as you come upon the Razor Leaf, you see that there are lamps still on inside. These places can be kind of a 24-hour spot. And as soon as you enter, you see that it is not too occupied, but there are more people here than Eridu would like. He was kind of hoping to walk into a situation where it was just the people he knows and trusts. But there is some clientele there. Some are already under the influence of the drug and kind of not seeing what's in front of them anyways. But then some of them are sober enough to look over and notice that you guys just drug in a monstrously bleeding blue dead body monster thing. And they get understandably a little freaked out. And some of them start to leave.
How
I was going to say the influences under which these people appear to be. Does it look like any of their eyes are going blue? Like does it look like they're taking this substance?
No, it looks very
Okay.
it looks very different. And then the other thing
Okay.
too is that you don't see any bandages. You know.
Yeah,
You don't.
what you
Yeah.
do see in people who are partaking is you see them take something out of a small, thin little glass,
Vile.
pretty much a dropper, a vial, a dropper,
Yeah.
and they're dropping a little bit into their eyes.
Hmm.
Do
And
they
then they,
look like do they look well taken care of, or do they look like disheveled and just basically like uh uh just their life is like this, the drug is basically tearing their life apart?
They don't look like junkies.
yeah, these are
Right.
these are
They're-
high to medium class.
They're high to medium
Okay.
class elves that, this is like a legitimized kind of thing.
Right, but I mean,
Yeah.
just because it's legitimized doesn't mean everyone can handle it.
That's true.
Hmm.
Right.
So
Is
like,
there someone squeaking in the corner?
yeah, basically, like, yeah, is it basically, is it junkies? Because if you have junkies in there, like, if you're high class, you don't want the junkies in there.
Mm.
No,
So,
so
basically,
you bring up a valid point, because some people do have a violent reaction to this one, where
Yeah.
they interact too heavily with the things that they're seeing, and
right,
they can't separate. So one thing you would see is if anybody leaving is clearly influenced by the drug, there are guards at the doors that will not let them leave.
right, that makes sense. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I remember talking about that. Yeah, no, I just I just want to go from Alton's.
Yeah.
Remember, he's an outsider, so from his and the way that he looks at the world, I just wanted to make sure that if he would basically find this place to be disgusting, would he look down on this place, or would he basically, okay, well, this is a place that is under control, this is an acceptable use of drugs?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how he feels about elves and drugs in general, but I mean, this
The
is
use of drugs is fine.
yeah. Okay, this is
Like
a
as long as it's,
yeah. I'll say that this is a stark contrast to what you've been seeing with the effects of Ethereum on Twin Harbor.
right.
That
Basically.
that dirty Sapphire Dream that Eridu knows
Mhm.
all too well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's down with this place.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
so the Magus sees Eridu and sees the disgusting thing that he brought in, and it doesn't faze him at all. He takes notice of it, but more in this way where he goes, Eridu, Eridu, my son, it has been a while.
Yes, I have been distracted.
I see.
Do you have an open back room, somewhere where I can,
Oh,
where we
what?
won't be disturbing others?
Always for you, my son. I have a back room available. It's number 3 on your right, as usual.
Thank you. And I'm gonna head in that direction, and then as I'm going, Magus, I will need 2 doses, please.
At once. The
Thank you.
the Magus looks at Onn, and his eyes kind of like widen a little bit and says, do you know that you are green?
Yes, I do. And I must confess, I apologize. I did inquire a little while ago about apothecarial sources of help for an affliction that I thought I was suffering from with my skin tone, but turns out that I'd missed yours entirely. You have a very well-stocked and oddly frequented apothecary store here. You must have miraculous medications here to cure all sorts of potentially even minor ailments. I don't see a lot of people that seem all that ill and sickly, apart from a couple over there, I suppose. But you even have back rooms. This is a fascinatingly well-stocked apothecarium.
Yes, thank you, my boy. I hope you can fix yourself. He gently pats you on the shoulder and then turns and waddles away in the way that only an ancient elf like him can. And he is going to fetch your doses, Eridu.
Good.
Yeah.
In the back room, I lay the corpse down on the couch there, and turn to Onn and say, "This place is not quite an apothecary.
Oh,
It's there's a drug that we create. Typically, elves who don't often find themselves able to get to the Feywild will partake in it, because most of us, we remember what life is like over there, but others frequent as well who are curious about what the sensation of emotion can really be. We're in one of these places, and I ordered 2 doses because I am hoping that being able to see and connect with the Feywild will help me fully understand the thing that I'm looking at now. And I had considered opening up the possibility to you partaking as well, if it's something that you would be interested in doing. I am interested in how a drug like this would affect someone who is so in between these worlds that as to not truly be part of either.
I'm certainly eager to try this endeavor, Eridu. Thank you for allowing me into this personal interest of yours. It sounds safe enough.
Yes, it is. This is very well maintained. And
Yeah.
hopefully,
I trust you, Eridu.
it'll go well.
You wouldn't do anything to harm me.
No.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the Magus comes in and he's got a small silver, very fine tray, and upon it are 2 delicate little glass vials with droppers. And he's moving so slowly because it seems like he could fall at any second. And he stops in front of Eridu and bends over in a very respectful bowing gesture.
Eridu bends and takes it from him. Thank you, sir.
Anytime, my boy. See well. And he puts his hand and puts it on your forehead in a customary gesture that he kind of does to you all the time.
I'll lean into it for a moment. Thank you. All right, so something we gotta talk about is what sort of side effects this might have for someone who's been taking this other drug.
Oh yeah. Oh no, believe me, I was thinking about that. I'm not
Okay.
not exactly sure how I'm going to rule it.
All right.
It's kind of complicated, but
So, you take this dropper and you put this into your eyes. It connects you with the Feywild in a way that will allow you to see the emotions of things, and sometimes see things in a deeper way than we can on this plane of existence. I am hoping to look at this corpse and find out more about it than I can see with my normal eyes. One of us has got to stay non-influenced, because sometimes we will see things that will cause us fear or possibly even pain.
And are you suggesting that Alton be the sober one in the room?
I would, yes, because from my experience, someone who has never connected with the Feywild, connecting in such a way for the first time, has a much higher chance of having a adverse reaction.
I don't. That's no problem. I have no desire to be. While I don't care whether or not anyone uses drugs, I don't partake myself. Plenty of people in my homeland use all sorts of mild, drugs that add a little bit of, if you will, like elevated moods.
Yes.
You know, natural grasses and whatnot.
I don't understand the hesitation, Alton. Is there a possible downside to using these drugs?
I don't know. I've never been one. I don't even smoke the stuff that we do back home.
The pipe weed, that halfling pipe weed.
The halfling pipe weed. I wasn't gonna say weed. But yeah, I don't even do that. I prefer to spend my time on the seas and just pondering the world. And I don't see the need to have an elevated mood because I get it by staring at the sun or listening to the waves.
All right. Well, without any more comment on that, Eridu is going to drop sympathy into his eyes.
Mm-hmm. And Onn is going to follow suit.
Yes. Onn is going to observe Eridu closely and see that he's dropped it into his eye and do the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will kind of place you guys like you're kind of coming up at the same time, so the world around you just starts to shift and wave, and there's an alternate vision of what's around you that just kind of seeps into being. I described when Eridu was under the influence of Ethereum, it was like this watercolory thing where like the Feywild vision was getting mixed in with reality, and you couldn't exactly control or like understand like which bit was which. It was just all kind of mixed in. This one gives you like a full-on vision of the Feywild, like what the Feywild would be around you, because they're like two parallel universes, kind of two parallel worlds that are like interlinked together. So the inside of the Razor Leaf, the echo of that in the Feywild, it's actually this beautiful grove with this clearing. The room that you're in just turns into this, it's surrounded by a small little stand of trees where the canopies are all interwoven with each other above you. The intense streaming sunlight is coming through and making all these light patterns on the forest floor, and the couch upon which the corpse is laying is a system of tree roots that are bent in such a way that it makes this, couch-like impression. And so that's essentially like where you guys drop into. Like everything has this kind of hazy, ethereal tint to it. So it doesn't look exactly like you're there. And you have been there to the Feywild. So this doesn't look like the Feywild, but it looks like you're looking at the Feywild through a dirty glass or something. There's like something in front of you that is making it seem like you're not actually there. You're just observing it somehow. So Onn, that's the impression you get. That's what you see. And Eridu, you see the same thing, but everything is much more intense. And whatever emotional impressions that the both of you are getting, it's more likely that Onn is going to get a positive spin on whatever that emotion is, and Eridu, without really being able to control it, is taking the most negative spin of that emotion. So you guys are kind of seeing the same things, but the effects on your psyche is going to be different because of the circumstances.
My door just opened up. I'm going to go make sure there's not a serial killer in my house.
For sure.
I'll be right
no,
back.
no, take your time. Take your time. No, that's all good.
Okay.
I'm sure it's just his dog.
So if I were to move my head around and have a look at various things, so if I look towards Alton,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm gonna look at Alton, see how he seems, and then look at the body.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for you looking at Alton and Domni is there,
Once again, he's lying on his resting his head on her side, as he does whenever he's just chilling.
Yeah. Okay. They look more or less normal. They look more or less like themselves, but there are certain little features that are like being kind of twisted a little bit. Like it looks like Alton has longer ears than he regularly would have. Maybe his hair is a different color, kind of done in this different way. You know, he just looks like a weird, like, alternate version of Alton. You know?
And he clearly has a goatee because he's evil.
Yeah, he's got an evil.
I would think more what happens is, like, the emotions that they're feeling become more entwined with their physical features.
Oh,
so
also...
they look like what their emotions
That's a really good point. I was kind of relying on you, Asa, to help me, like, flesh out this thing, because this was more of your, like, brainchild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much more of an emotional interpretation of the world, so things do have a very very fluid way of existing, where something takes on the persona of the emotion surrounding it. So like, if different hair color and longer ears is interpretation of some kind of emotion that Alton is feeling, that as those emotions change, those physical features could also change.
For sure.
Gotcha.
So maybe it'd be fun to say what Alton, like, what emotion is he feeling, and how would that manifest in this, like, crazy alternate way?
Okay, so I think actually the ears would kind of elongate, because even though he looks like he's not paying attention at all, and like if you were to like walk in the room, he would probably not even like look up. His ears are significantly longer because the reality is that he is on hypervigilance.
Mm-hmm.
His two compatriots are high, and they are out of commission. So if anything happens, he has to be the one to take care of them. And so kind of as a result, he's kind of also looks a little more like muscular than he does. Like, and he's not like fat or portly or whatever. Like, he's in swimmer shape, not not bulky. But in the Feywild, he looks a little bit more bulky in that kind of protected, in that like stronger protected sense.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, his hair looks like more regal, like what's what I'm looking for there? Like just like more voluminous than normal.
All right.
Like in this like sense of like propriety and whatnot.
Yeah.
So those would be representative of his emotions.
All right. So alternate version of Alton looks like Fabio. Amazing, beautiful, muscular Fabio. And
so
that's his, like, if you were to combine his emotions, basically.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking too with Eridu having it being a much more negative light. Is Alton's eyes are closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are
there, like,
seemingly
kind of
closed.
Yeah.
They are very slightly open, and he is on hypervigilance.
So, like in Eridu's perspective, his eyes, like behind his closed lids, is sort of this burning light.
Right.
And then his hair, rather than looking more regal, kind of looks like it's standing on end.
Okay, gotcha.
Wow.
And then his muscles, like, he does look a little more muscular, but then he has like these pulsating veins,
right,
looking like he is ready to spring and like recoil at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what Eridu is seeing is just the tenseness of the situation, rather than the on guard feeling that Alton's actually
the protective. Onn feels protected.
Eridu feels a little
Eridu
nervous
feels
because
nervous. Yeah,
because
you have this,
Alton
like,
seems to be on edge.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So then, when you look at the corpse, what you see is that you see it's the way the corpse looks in the Feywild. It looks like it's sitting on this system of branches, and you see the blood kind of coursing out faster than it should because it's supposed to be this really thick blue thing, but it's coursing out in these rivers of blood, and they don't seem to end or slow down. And at the same time, you see several insects and little vines, and essentially the nature coming up from the ground and slowly encircling the body. The insects are on the body, and they're starting to tear it apart and essentially trying to decompose it. And you get this sense that there was a lot of pain involved, but at the end of all of it, it gets recycled. Now when Eridu looks at it, he sees the rivers of blood. He only sees insects, but they're maggots. It's like you just see like maggots kind of like busting out of the chest cavity, like busting out. And then also you get an auditory thing. Like the auditory thing doesn't happen a lot because when you're interpreting these emotions, it's just more like something straight to your brain, like I'm feeling this. So you don't get a lot of like actual noise or sound happening. But so this is kind of a new thing for Eridu. When you look at the corpse, you hear a never-ending scream. It's just high-pitched, it's hoarse, it's going and going and going, and it's filled with so much anguish and so much pain.
Huh. Okay. So I'm gonna like turn to Onn and say, "Can you hear that? There's so much pain, so much agony. What is this thing?"
I'm afraid I don't follow. It just seems to be a natural cycle. Are you hearing something?
It's a cycle of agony. This is being consumed. All of it. The emotion, the heart, everything is. And just kind of getting lost in not being able to find the words to convey what he's feeling. Eridu's going to step forward and like touch the face of this thing.
Wow. Okay, as you touch the face, your perception is that where you touch just starts to disintegrate, as if the skin cannot stand the idea of being touched by you, and it just falls away.
What is this thing you have done to yourself? And not really being able to have any more words come out, Eridu is just gonna drop to his knees in front of the corpse and like just start weeping.
Damn. So what's Alton doing during all this?
Like he's just in a state of constant watch. Like I said, in kind of a constant state of hypervigilance because, like I said, especially now, he's watching Eridu poke a dead body. So not only is he watching out for outside influences, now he's actually keeping a, again, like nearly closed-eyed look at Eridu. So if I were to describe for what Eridu sees, all of a sudden that light that was standing behind his eyes is now like I would imagine he sees it as a lasers are pointing at him, or that are like hitting him, coming out of these like very. He would probably now, for the first time, notice that his eyes are slightly open because the lasers are pointing at him as well, and like hitting him.
What I would like to do while this is going on, seeing the state that Eridu's in, I would like to wander over, think about and look at my hand for a moment before placing it slowly on Eridu's shoulder. And I'll take my other hand and move it towards parts of the body where I'm seeing these little things scurrying about. Just sort of not touch the body, but sort of move my hand around to see how they react to it, see if they move away from my hand or anything like that. And not looking for anything in particular, just sort of playing around with these things, sort of trying to get a feel for how aware of me these things might be. Just to get a general sense, but not to find anything.
So you place your hand on Eridu first, and then you start to hover the other hand around the body. That's the order of operations.
Yep.
Okay. As the first patch of insects that you go over, it's like, you know, a handful of beetles and, you know, some ants and, you know, those kind of ones that have they do a lot of like ripping apart of things and decomposing of things. You know, it's like a bunch of those kind of insects. As soon as you pass your hand over the first patch of them, they actually take direct notice of you as much as insects can, and they leap right onto your hand and start piling on.
I'm not going to be too scared of this and just be quite curious and sort of move my hands away from the body and up and just sort of take a closer look and see what they do.
And they start scurrying down your hand, on your arm, on your shoulder, over your neck, on your other arm, and they just start crawling on Eridu.
Starting to get a little concerned now. Does Eridu seem to feel them?
Eridu seems like he's lost in his own little world. Actually, it looks like Eridu, he is like, by your perspective, it looks like he's restrained to the ground. These vines and roots have come up from the ground, and they're just grabbing his ankles. His ankles and his wrists, and just kind of keeping him stretched. And there's just rivers of tears flowing down, but it's got that same kind of weird quality, like the blood is streaming down from the corpse in this unrealistic way. The same thing with the tears, you know, it's just more of like a representation of tears, you know.
Not as though they're adhering to gravity by any means.
Yeah, they're just, everything's just like flowing out of his eyes, and it's like a river is just pouring out through the air.
In that case, I'll pay particular attention to what's happening there now and ignore the bugs, but rush around to be in front of Eridu, kneel down in front of him and try and grab his wrists and try and pull them up. Where in the first instance as a way to sort of remove the grip of the vines, but if I do manage to realize, like I would hope that I do, that this is part of the drops and may not literally be happening, that I'll start to recognize some of the significance and just sort of lean my head towards Eridu's and sort of press my head to his, sort of like, I'm here with you.
Yeah.
As you begin to like work at some of the vines, Eridu's fingers curl into the ground, and it looks like they are beginning to fuse with the forest floor below. And when you press your forehead to his, in a low voice, he says, These are my restraints. I have put them here. I am not ready to give them up.
I'm sorry that you feel the need for them.
They are what connect me to this place. Without them... Let my dogs bark for a second. Without them, I am not whole. Without the Feywild, without this place, I am not really me.
It should be noted that any conversation that they're having, any words that they say, they're actually saying in reality.
I assume.
Yeah.
I'll move my arm around Eridu's shoulders and sort of lock our heads together. And I would like at this point to attempt something strange as a gift to Eridu.
I'm always down for my players doing something strange. Always.
Now, Misty Step.
Oh, God. What's happening?
I would like to, whether it requires some sort of arcana check to modify ever so slightly my face step ability. I want to try and muster every fiber of my being, as zonked out as my mind is likely to be while on drugs. So this might not work at all. But I'd like to try and impart my phase step just for a moment onto Eridu, just to blink him into the Feywild for a split second so that he just gets a genuine feeling of it. So it's basically like I'm going to face step him, but not physically move.
Oh my God, guys, this session is getting like so heady in this like weird metaphysical way.
I'm super excited.
It's super
This is
cool.
awesome.
It's super cool. Well, it's Dungeons and Dragons, so we gotta fucking roll dice, you know. So I'm gonna have that.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Arcana's a good one for you, so I'll say go for it.
Oh, sweet. That's not too bad. That's a 19.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that will do it. With the passion of the moment, it's something that you, and in typical Onn fashion, it's something that you don't even know if it's going to work. You don't even know like how you're going to do it, but you just get this intense, compelling feeling to just do something about this. You put your hands on him and you expend all of this energy. Like, you're not going to take any damage, but you definitely just feel like you're totally exhausted after this. And you expend that Fey energy, and it floods into Eridu's body. And for the slightest of moments, it's a slight moment, but it feels like an eternity to Eridu. The vision, like I told you, that it looked like you're looking at the Feywild through dirty glass or something. For a slight moment, all that fades away, and you get this vibrant clarity of the Feywild. You're like frozen in this one point in time, and just savoring it for what seems like forever, and then you snap back. It becomes cloudy again, and this is actually when you start to realize that the effects of the drug are starting to wear off. It doesn't drop off immediately, but after that, it's like you're realizing that the intensity, it's not going to be as intense anymore.
Yeah. Oh man.
How can he even react? Like, that's the thing, is like that's such a significant thing for Eridu. Like, I can't imagine him reacting like.
And the thing about it too is with actually being in the Feywild as opposed to like connecting with the drug is like there's such a flood of emotion just from existing in this place that is physically manifested by emotion. Like I don't know, man. That's
It's too
I'd
heavy.
imagine being paralyzed by an overwhelming surge of emotions would be a reasonable reaction for Eridu as well.
okay. So with the drugs wearing off but still existing, and with On's arm still around Eridu, he's looking down at his hands as they're like, they're not like infused with the earth like they kind of appeared to be a minute ago. They seem more like his fingers are like becoming roots that dig into the ground as opposed to actually like fused with it. But he begins to pull his hands up off the ground. The manifestation of feeling like he's grasping to something that so deeply, that visual manifestation starts to break, and he just wraps his arms around Onn and whispers, "You could never know what you have given me.
Wow.
We are friends. We are brothers. We are lovers in a way that I have never had with anyone before. Thank you."
I'll just embrace Eridu and not say anything.
Wow.
It doesn't mean lovers like sexual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you guys did just like it's almost like how a Vulcan can do like a Vulcan mind meld with someone. It's like you guys just did this crazy like elven mystical connection thing that connects you guys together on this level that's so much more intimate and so much more like crazy, like one-to-one than anything like physical conversation or even physical intimacy could do. You guys like had a straight mind meld. I can't really say it in any other way.
Yeah.
So that's trippy, super trippy. Speaking of trippy, is there anything else that you guys want to try and delve into or perceive under this influenced state?
I think I'm good. I think it's given me,
Some
me a
insight.
player and Eridu as a character, a lot to think about in what to do from here on out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so in that case, we'll say that the Magus comes in and kind of checks up on you, and he actually finds you guys in your most like intimate, vulnerable state, and he just smiles knowingly, and says like, "That's my boy," and just shuffles off to let you come down, and you guys like over the next, let's say like 20-30 minutes or so, your vision of the Feywild starts to get darker and darker, and I mean that literally. You know, it was like beautiful daylight when you first took the drug, and then the sun has been setting in the sky, and once the sun sets fully, then you guys more or less just snap back to reality and find yourselves in the darkened room with the stinky ass corpse and Alton really having not done anything other than observe you guys.
Yep.
Well, what have we learned from the corpse? That is what we that's why we came to this situation in the first place, was to uncover information about this thing.
As I'm regaining my senses somewhat.
Yeah, Eridu's fairly distracted.
Yeah. I observed some small creatures. I'm not sure if they were real or my imaginings. A way for my mind to interpret what was there. But it seemed that they were recycling the body in some way, pulling it apart and decomposing it so that its parts might be used anew. seemed that you had an altogether different experience.
I
Perhaps,
am.
Oh,
Kid,
yeah.
hold on.
Oh, it's all good.
perhaps it might be that while under the influence of these drugs, we're seeing the same thing, but simply able to process it differently because of our own personal experiences.
You could
Fascinating.
you could say that.
I, staring at the corpse, I saw it being consumed by maggots, and it screamed. It screamed with the most terrifying sound I'd ever heard, as if every aspect of it was in complete agony.
It's something I'm altogether ignorant of.
Yes, it's not been my experience to have auditory senses, just the emotions and the visions. This is different for me.
Alton, what were your observances? Were there any sounds? Any movement on the body itself?
And so then I open my eyes, just kind of like half, and no, you guys said some weird shit and touched the body a lot, and then hugs. I really don't know what was going on.
Oh. That's like the perfect, like the only sober person in the room. That's exactly what they would say. It was weird. You touched a dead body and then hugged and.
So I don't know. You guys were on the whatever. Yeah, I don't. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yes, this is why I would rather be the one in the Feywild than the one watching. Things are not as exciting when you're not there.
Perhaps then we might conclude that this being is decomposing in reality. We understand the natural processes of things. You shoot a deer in the woods, but do not harvest it. Eventually, it will get eaten away by all manner of crazy tiny beasts. We were seeing the same thing. Perhaps it was our assumption that that is what will be happening to a dead thing. So we can dead. Perhaps something of its spirit is trapped within somehow. And that is what you experienced, Eridu. That there is something of its former self still in there, or something alive in some manner. Whether this body could be healed back to life or rehabilitated back to its former life, I wouldn't venture to say. But perhaps whatever transformation has occurred has somehow damned the soul, trapped it within the body or some hellish alternate reality.
This is very disturbing.
Very.
If only there was a way to confirm these and make them a reality. We must find whoever is creating this drug and figure out what it is that they are doing. And it's got to be stopped if there's even a chance that it's damning people's souls. This is worse than if the Drow had actually been able to detonate their weapon inside the city. At least then that would have been hundreds of thousands of deaths. This is maybe thousands of souls that are not allowed to find a home.
Indeed.
I think the drug is still.
What would be the ultimate goal here? Who is manufacturing this? Why are they manufacturing it with the effects that it has? Is that their goal, or is this an unfortunate side effect?
You know, I have been in this world long enough to learn that more often than not, the sad truth is the goal is profit, and that these unfortunate side effects, they are not the intention, just the side effect, and those who seek profit just don't care. I hope I hope people are not so callous and cruel, but sometimes they are.
I feel that
That is,
perhaps.
as I've been saying, that is what the big folk do. They harm each other for uh, for their desire to take more from others.
Yes.
I do wonder if perhaps the truth lies between your two experiences. Eridu, you know much more of the people than I ever could. Alton, your people have a spiritual bent. You understand how perception can be altered through the use of these chemicals. Your people do so regularly, and you yourself seem possessed of fantastic powers that pierce beyond the veil of the mortal world. Perhaps somewhere that the truth lies in between, that there is a greed element involved, but also an elevatory one.
Mm, possibly.
You keep being muted, Asa. I don't know if you're trying to talk.
No, I'm trying to collect my thoughts. I was
Oh,
gonna say
okay.
something, but I didn't have it yet.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps the dwarf that we encountered earlier might have some idea of the movement of this. If he's involved with the shipping family, perhaps he might know where the drugs are coming from or how they're being shipped around the city. If he's not involved directly, he would surely know about his competition.
Did On mention the insects crawling onto Eridu at all?
I have not yet.
No, he did
Did
not.
you
Okay.
mean to?
Huh?
Did you mean to on?
No, I haven't mentioned it, and I haven't meant to mention it.
Oh, okay. Well, in that
but-
case, you didn't mention it.
Yeah. Yes, in fact, I'm going to keep that to myself for the time being.
Alrighty then.
Sounds
Alrighty
wise.
then.
I figured that would be a thing you'd do, but I wanted to just double check because I, the player, had a thought, but Eridu can't have that thought if he doesn't have my brain.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, shall we venture out, rest up, and then meet up later on? I mean, my intentions are to, after retiring and resting, going out and speaking to guards, dock workers, that sort of thing, and just generally investigate where people get these drugs, or where they might do. Probably take
Before
a
we
while.
do anything else, Eridu would like to say something. And I'm going to speak for him because that's what I do.
That's what you do.
You think this is some sort of role-playing game?
It's like I'm possessed by this character and must act in the manner that they would like me to. One thing that we can be sure of is that there has been a lot of dishonesty and a lack of trust in all of these situations, and just people keeping information to themselves for their own profit. And I have been a party to this myself.
You, Eridu?
Yes. In the times that I have recently, I have been involved in this drug that these people have been using, the Sapphire Dream.
The reveal.
Oh my gosh, mind blown! You guys had no idea.
Alton,
After-
or I don't phase a second. Like, there's not even a blink. It's just, yeah, that seems, yeah.
After Akram's death, I could not find the feelings of remorse that I thought I should have. I couldn't find it in me to feel sorrow or even to miss him. And I do not think this is a right thing to feel. And when sympathy wouldn't present me with those emotions, when I couldn't find them within myself, I resorted to other means and got lost in it. I want to find my way out again. Because I don't think relying on this false emotion is something that is good for me. But before I do, it gives me a perspective of things that even sympathy cannot. I think when we meet these people, it is best that I am under the influence of the Sapphire Dream, so that I can gain as much information that you cannot. But very likely, I will not be able to stand or control my own body moving away. And I'll need you guys to be that for me. But I think there's a lot to be gained from seeing the world from that perspective.
I can't say I'm terribly comfortable, Eridu. We don't know how many doses it takes for one of these addicts to suddenly transform into these beasts. It could be that your next dose could turn you into some feral monster.
It could be. And that is a risk I would be willing to take if it means we are able to find a way to put an end to this. Because no one else should be turned into these feral monsters, and if I have to be the last one to end it, I will be.
I can't say that I'm comfortable with this, even with that explanation, Eridu. Alton, is there nothing that you can think to say to talk Eridu out of this? Surely this can't be our best option.
It's not my place to tell him what to do. He is, as far as I can tell, in enough control over his faculties to make a decision. Do I agree with them? No. Would I advise heavily against it? Absolutely. Is it my place to stop him? No.
Well,
I'll be here to support you, Eridu.
and if I become one of these things, you know what to do.
Take him to the druids.
Here, we heard you were running out of blue goo.
I'm gonna give you my friend real quick.
I will give him exactly what he wants.
It's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Love it.
Onn, I do have a request. If I don't survive this, will you find Vilren and tell him that I am sorry? And tell him that I never meant to just let him fall to the wayside in the way that I did. That is not how you show love.
Yes, Eridu.
That's right.
Thank
And
you.
I'll lean in close to Alton and whisper, "What's a Vilren?"
And then I just telepathically go, your guess is as good as mine.
So you guys have spent any time with Eridu in the last 3 months. You would have met him.
Alton does not spend that kind of time with you guys. He comes in occasionally when you need his help for a mission or just because. But remember, he's a traveler. He's visiting the world.
Yeah.
So no, he has no clue.
I may have met Vilren.
Yeah.
On
I
problem.
saw an opportunity for a joke, and I took it.
And On strikes me as the type who would probably remember or like have met him and forget.
Yeah,
true.
for sure.
Alton has no clue who you're talking about.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. As a player, I'm completely on board, but On has his reservations.
For sure.
But yeah, all right. Well, I guess retire and go to sleep, rest up, take a long rest.
Yeah, so essentially you guys exit the Razor Leaf. It is like way too early in the morning right now. Like you can tell that the sky is getting to a point where it's at a pre-dawn stage. Like it is about to be dawn. and that means that you guys definitely got to go get some sleep. So, the elves, you do what you do with your trance. Alton already got like a little nap in, so maybe he doesn't need to sleep like a full 8 hours necessarily. But
Oh no, he didn't sleep. He didn't sleep a wink.
oh, okay, well, in that
Make
case-
no mistake about what he looked like compared to
oh, for sure.
what he was doing. In
Oh, he
fact,
was on
whenever they
guard.
started getting super crazy, if they had actually been paying attention to him,
Mm-hmm.
to Onn, he would have looked like his muscles grew
Ah,
intensely. His ears would have grown twice the size they were.
Uh-huh.
His hair would have cut down to like Thor from Ragnarok. To Eridu, he would have looked like Super Saiyan, just like with all the energy going up. Like he would have just looked like super like a Super Saiyan villain or something like that. He
Mhm.
would have not looked at all
for sure. For sure.
pleasant to be around.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
they
so-
weren't paying attention. They didn't see anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, he
they
didn't
didn't.
sleep at all.
All right. So, anyways, you guys get the amount of sleep that you need to have long rest. You can go ahead and regain hit points and spell slots and stuff.
Yep.
And
Already did it.
and I'm gonna say that you guys have enough time to do
Well, it's
some.
only two. We had tons of time.
Yeah, you have tons of time. You have time to
Yeah.
do stuff in the afternoon. If you want to go to the market and get some stuff, Onn was saying that he wants to go do some gossip and just try and find some information. So for Onn, maybe you have like 2 main questions that you're going to ask, and then I might give you another little tidbit of random information. Eridu, I don't know what he wants to do. Alton, I don't know what you want to do. But this is going to be like a slight little bit of downtime before your guys' meeting.
Eridu's probably gonna go get some real sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
Like not elf sleep, some real out sleep. Probably in his own apartment for the first time in a couple of days.
So he's just going to pass out until like
Yeah.
nighttime pretty much.
Yeah, more or less. Probably mostly hugging pillows and crying.
Yeah,
You know,
he's got to have a
he's
good
very,
cry.
very emo at the moment.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
I mean,
Uh,
he's been more sober in the last couple hours than he has been in the last 5 days, and in
Mhm.
that amount of time, he's realizing he's lost his boyfriend and got teleported into the Feywild. There's a lot of things going on.
A lot of things going on. All right, what is Alton gonna do in his time?
he is going to just basically go back to his place. Go back to he's renting a room because he doesn't own a place here.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to his room, and I've already taken out the $1 in gold for the 1 gold piece, and he is just gonna kind of wait. He has nothing to really do,
Okay.
so
Alright.
he has no investment in this community. So
Uh-huh. So for Onn, what are the kind of questions that you're going to try and ask?
So, I am going to be awkward and complicated
Awesome.
because,
Perfectly like Onn.
yes,
Perfectly.
I am going to track down first where I might find a more scholarly person, possibly a mage's squire, or just someone who's good with numbers and bookkeeping and statistics, whatever that might look like in a medieval fantasy environment,
Mm-hmm.
and hire them for the day, whatever that might cost. I think it's something like map makers or something like 5 silver a day or something like that. So I'd imagine it would probably be something equivalent, or possibly gold, and have them come with me so that I might find out more. And the questions I'm going to ask are, and ask around the city: has anyone gone missing in the past week? And of anyone that says yes and it was this person, find out who their family is that lives in the city, and have the note keeper person make a note of that, and then at the end of the day, sort of around dinner time, sort of 6 p.m., 7 p.m., sit down with them in a tavern with whatever maps and census data that I can find, and try and see if I can work out where people are that have gone missing, and see if I can then use that in a later investigation to correlate that with other things that we find out about the drugs and where they're deposited and where dens might be where people take these drugs and stuff. I'm basically doing the first part of an investigation that isn't going to give me anything useful right away, but we'll build.
Okay. So that was a lot to kind of like process, like how am I gonna do this, but I think I got a pretty good idea of what you're trying to do. So the person that you hire is just like it's like for organization, because if Onn tried to do this by himself, he would probably get a bunch of stuff wrong and like not be able to read his own writing or something like that. That's
Not to mention, he would ask the questions the most awkwardly uncomfortable way possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So it's good that you're hiring someone like this. Also, I'll say that you find a dwarf who kind of works for like one of the more financially minded guilds, and he seems very, very eager. He seems a bit younger for a dwarf, but you know, with dwarves they still have like really craggy faces and beards, so you can't really tell. There's just something about him. He's got a more youthful energy as a dwarf. But he seems very eager. He seems very ready to get paid. He actually asks for part of the payment in advance. And he's a little spendy. He's like 50 silver, half a gold. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I will happily give him that.
Okay. All right. So then he'll follow you around all day, and then what he does, in addition to making sure that all your notes are legible and properly done, he will also give you advantage on an investigation check. And I'm going to record this. I'm going to record this number for later, and as you string together this investigation, I'll find some way of finding out how successful you were.
Brilliant. So yeah, so in the short term, I suppose this is easy because you don't need to give me an answer. This isn't going to give me anything actionable right away, but just so that if at some point during the episode,
it's a long-term investment thing.
Yeah. So that's a 10 and a 14. My advantage, and my investigation gives me a +2, so that's a 16.
Okay, yeah, this is gonna be like kind of like a skill challenge, but like spaced out over a much longer period of time. So your first one's a 16, and that's all I'm gonna say, is that it was your first check that you made, and the total was 16. That's all the information.
I feel happy about this investment.
Okay.
So is that going to be a gold total, or is it just 50 silver is all he cost me for the day?
Oh, yeah, he's just going like 50 silver for a day. He does let you know that it was an enjoyable, like interesting experience. He said it was really interesting. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to find out, but I enjoy doing it. And if you need help again, feel free to call on me. My name is hold on. Wait, no, that's lame. My name is Zeller. Zeller.
Okay. Zellor?
Yeah. Zeller.
Nice.
Feel free to call on me if you need any more help. I will have to charge you again, but
absolutely. It's the nature of our commercial exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Zella.
Excellent. So I will also tell you on the other bit of information that you picked up just from going around and talking to this, that, and the other person. You overhear that in a pretty short amount of time, within like 3 or 4 days, Twin Harbor is expecting a special visitor, and a fellow by the name of Ambassador Teladris, and he is from the Celestial Kingdoms, and he is coming here to broker a sort of deal because, as you know, Twin Harbor has become a pretty powerful financial hub.
That's just an address.
Are we all just typing a bunch?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I went away, and then everyone just kind of stopped doing stuff.
Yeah, sorry. I was making notes of what the GM's been dropping in terms of exposition bombs.
Okay, cool.
So much exposition.
So much exposition. Yeah, I would love to upload the past things. I just do not have a solid like editing software that's free.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that we it's a future, but it's something that we're working on.
Yeah,
like I wasn't calling you out on it.
We're
Oh
working
no,
on it.
I'm actually bringing that up in case anybody watching right now knows pretty decent. The main thing I need to be able to do is chop episodes at very specific spots, in which windows.
What's the one that you use, Drew?
Yes, a video pad. Now I do have like a registration code for it because it's only free for like a month. But yeah, I can't recall what the registration code is. Otherwise, I would freely share it. But I do fear that if my laptop crashes and I need to download it again, I'm just never going to be able to.
Do it, yeah.
I'd need to buy it again.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes left before 3, so like 5 minutes left before we're done.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up for sure. So,
Okay, I missed a buttload of exposition, but that's okay.
It's okay. Essentially, I'll give you the really quick breakdown. Onn was doing a big investigation, and he hired someone to help him take notes, and he didn't get any like super useful information right away, but it'll build up, and he's gonna get more information together for that. The other thing that he overheard is that in about 3 or 4 days, Twin Harbor is going to have a very special visitor from the Celestial Kingdom, an ambassador by the name of Teladris. And Teladris is coming to Twin Harbor to, as rumor has it, he is coming to broker a sort of deal between Twin Harbor and the Celestial Kingdom, because Twin Harbor has become such a powerful financial hub.
And we've all heard the song that Teladris is coming to town.
You better watch out. You better not cry. Teladris is coming to town.
Hey, buddy. So let's see. It looks like a mug of ale is 4 copper. A galleon is 2 silver pieces. This is answering someone else's question from earlier.
I see.
And then wine, common pitcher is 2 silver pieces, and a fine bottle is 10 gold.
All right.
That's about all I've got on booze, though. And I think we have different rules anyway, because
sure.
reasons.
Yeah, because
we did find out I think it was during Ace's one, that the economy in the D&D Player's Handbook is off.
Oh,
a little off.
What was it? An iron pot cost more than a sword?
Right.
Or something?
We'll this is
I think this is our official wrap up. Like we kind of
Yeah, no, we're kind of there. I mean,
yeah.
we're getting there. I just want to say, like, so your guys' intention is to go to the Bottle and Blade at 10. Like, you guys aren't going to do anything else before that, and that's what your guys are doing. So that's where I can start next session.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that will be the next kind of place where we go. How else should we wrap the episode up?
Well, we could say goodbye.
We could say goodbye. That's good. That's yeah. I just
Nice
want to say something really quick. This has probably been one of my favorite sessions that I've ever DM'd. Ever. You know, like one combat, not like a super like frightening difficult combat, but one with a lot of implications.
Oh,
And
for sure.
like great character role playing, and then this whole thing with like Onn and Eridu tripping out together was
Oh,
that was
so good.
so cool. That was so cool on so many levels.
Deeply emotional.
Yeah.
I have never come close to getting emotionally connected in a D&D game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those moments. That is what you missed, Calypso. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
was that emotional connection. That was really cool. And oh man, I was feeling it coming on, and I'm like,
Definitely feeling it. Definitely feeling it. Anyone want to make any points or any jokes or?
oh, all the jokes have been made.
Yeah, we made all
No.
the jokes we can.
I think all the analogies.
Analogies. That's
Those
exactly how
passed
the
away an episode ago.
well. That's how the last one ended too. Analogies.
All right. Thank you all for watching. This has been Roll for Mischief,
Roll for
and
Mischief.
we really appreciate everybody who's checking it out and liking it so far.
Yeah, we're having fun, and if you're having fun too, then that's even more awesome.
It's even more fun.
Even more fun. more fun. So yeah, please join us next week for what will be session 3. The plot will thicken even more, I promise. And yeah, this is called Winds of War. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next
Thank
week.
you.
Bye.
Bye.